We're going to be working on our ceramic nativity piece today, and all the ceramic nativity pieces basically have the same structure. The only thing that's different are the small details. So for instance, on this one you can see the body is shaped rather like a cone that's hollow, and he has a beard and hair, and he's wearing a cloak, and his arms are folded in front of him. So yours could look like this, or you could do a different person in the nativity, and perhaps he will have something different in his hands, or he'll wear something different on his head, or he'll have some different clothing, but the basic structure for every piece is the same. To start with, we will have a large piece of clay and a small piece of clay. We'll save the small piece for later, and we're going to start with the large piece, and we're going to roll it up. And what we want to do is make a sort of a cone shape. So we're going to squeeze one end so it's narrow, and we want one end to be wide. So we have a nice cone shape, so it should look like this, like a cone. And if you have any lumps or bumps or lines or creases, you can smooth them out with your finger by gently rubbing them. And you can see, to roll a cone, you want to press a little bit more on one end and a little bit less on the other end while you're rolling. And the end that has more pressure will be narrower, and the end that has less pressure will be thicker. So now we have a cone. Let's see if it's the right height. It should be about the height of the handle for your pin tool. So this looks about right. You can flatten one end a little bit because that's the end that we're going to be attaching the head to, so it doesn't have to be exactly pointed. We want to make it hollow in this end, so you can do that by putting your thumb inside and pinching and turning, or you can put the handle for your pin tool in and you can just rotate it around like this. The idea is you want to make it thin so that it will dry out all the way. And then after you do that, you might notice that it's a little bit misshapen, so you can always roll it a little more to smooth it out and flatten it so that it's the way you like it to be. And you can tap the bottom to make it very flat along the bottom so that it will stand up nicely. So double check again, make sure it's the right height. It should be about the height of the handle for your pin tool. This looks about right. So I'll set this aside, and now let's work on some arms. For your arms, you'll need to take half of your smaller piece. So I'll just cut that in half, and I'll save this piece. This will be the arms, and we're going to roll this into a coil. The coil should be about as thick as your finger. So notice I'm not measuring the length of this piece. I'm not measuring how long it is. What I'm measuring is the thickness. It should be about as thick as your finger. Now to attach this, we're going to be like making the letter T, and we're going to be wrapping this around like this so that it forms the shoulders and two arms all in one piece. So we'll take our clay toothbrush and we will do a little scratch and attach on the top of our cone and on the side of our coil, and we're going to press these together like this. And now we have a body with shoulders and two arms. You'll see a line in between the shoulders and the body, so you should smooth that over so that it looks like it's one solid piece. And you can do the same on the back. Smooth that over so it looks like one solid piece, so it's attached very securely and your arms shouldn't break apart. Okay, that looks pretty nice. Next, I will make the head. So I'll take some of my remaining clay, and I'll only need a little piece of it. And I'll roll this into a sort of an oval shape or a ball. And then you want to pinch one end and kind of twist it around so we have a neck that goes down like that. And we will insert the neck by placing the pin tool handle inside of the shoulder area and hollowing it out a little so that we can insert the head and neck this way. And then we can sort of blend the clay across that gap and fill it in so that it is attached really securely and the head won't break off. So the rest of the details depend on which character you are making. You might be making a Joseph figure that you want to hold onto a staff, so you might want to leave a little opening between his hands and his body so that he can hold a staff. You may want to put a cloak on him, or a beard, or some details on his face, or maybe you want to leave him with no face. It's up to you. If you want to add a beard, one thing you could do is you can break off a small piece of clay and you can press it with your thumb, and you can do a little scratch and attach on the face, and you can attach this on like this and kind of blend it across so it looks like it's really attached and connected. And then you can draw your beard on. It's up to you how many details you want. If you want to add a face, you can. If you want to leave it sort of empty on the face, that's fine as well. Both are successful. I've seen it look good both ways. So you decide how you want that to be. If you want his hands to be in front of him and sort of reaching out and clasping his hands together, you can just bring his hands like this and kind of blend them together. And then when you stand him up, you should leave a little gap in between his body and his hands if you want him to hold a staff later. You won't be making the staff out of clay. That would be a piece that you add later. If you want him to be holding a gift, you can do the hands the same way, and then you can make a small gift like this, and you can make it whatever shape you want it to be. I'm going to make a small cube shaped gift, so this could be a wise man, and scratch and attach it and place it into his hands. And you can see if his elbows are leaning against his torso and his hands are close to his body, then he will be stable and secure and less likely to break. Now, if you'd like to add a hat, there's several different types of hats you could make. You could make a turban, you could make a fez, you could make a headscarf. If you want to make a turban, here's one way you could do it. You can roll your clay into a very narrow coil and flatten it by pressing it flat, and then you can wind it around the head. And you'll need several pieces, and you'll wind them around one after the other until you have a nicely wrapped turban. Alternatively, you could make a headscarf, and to do that, you'll take a piece of clay and roll it up and flatten it with the palm of your hand so that it is quite flat and quite thin, thinner than a pancake. So you can see how thin that is. It's very thin. And instead of the turban, you would put a little scratch and attach on your headscarf and place your person right in the middle there and wrap this around so that it just comes up to the forehead and comes down on the sides, and then you can fold it backwards so that it goes behind like that, and it looks like a cloth that's draped around. And if you'd like to, you can add a tie around the head by rolling a very thin coil and wrapping it around, so it's sort of a headband around the top that kind of ties it all together. And you would want to do a little scratch and attach on this to make it sticky so that it attaches nicely, and press it. You do need to add pressure to get this to connect, and you can get it to go all the way around. There are a lot of different ways to decorate these. If it's a wise man and you want it to have decorated clothing, you can roll the pattern rollers on here and you can give it some decorations. If you want him to be wearing a cloak, you can take another piece of clay and you can flatten it with the palm of your hand so that it's quite thin. And you can lay him on the cloak piece like this, and you can just kind of wrap it around his shoulders, and then you can turn the top back like that so you've got a little collar, and he can look this way. There are so many different ways that you can put different things on your figure so that it looks a lot of different styles. You can make any of the different figures from the nativity this way. There are a lot of options for you to personalize these and make them unique and creative. Whatever you end up doing, make sure that you write your name and your teacher code on the bottom so that I can make sure that you get it back. I hope you enjoy making your nativity piece. Good luck.